Welcome to Quarantine Diaries. I'm proud today that we are going to talk to one of our very own, a proud senior, the one and only JH. So JH, just do me a favor.
What's up, guys?
Yourself, and tell me a little bit about yourself before we go too deep into this.
Well, like you said, I'm JH Lee. I'm a senior that used to go to Wando, but now I am kind of like halfway homeschooled, I
You
guess.
still go to Wando. Still go to Wando.
Well, I mean, the commute is much shorter. It's from my bedroom to my living room instead of 20 minutes up Highway 17. But yeah, I'm going to North Georgia next year. I'm doing the Army ROTC, and then majoring in international affairs and minoring in French. And
Wait, minoring in French? That's a new piece
Yep.
that I have not heard. Why French?
I've been telling you that for weeks.
Okay, I probably ignored the minor part because it's the minor part of the whole thing. Why French?
So I've been taking French at Wando for like 3 years now, and I just really like it. And you have to have, you have to take at least 2 courses to graduate at UNG.
Okay.
And also for special forces in the Army, which is the end goal, which sounds crazy, but that's shoot high, and then if you miss, then you're still somewhat up there. You have to be able to speak quite a few languages. And if you minor in French, you get a trip to France. So,
all right. Okay.
I mean, you can't really complain about that.
I just require that you take a selfie of yourself in front of the Eiffel Tower. That's the only thing I ask for as your youth.
100%. I got you.
Get H selfie at the Eiffel Tower. And if you want to send me back some like French coffee, I'm all over that too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
French coffee is great.
Mm-hmm. I just like all coffee. So
Cuban coffee is where it's at, though.
I don't know. I've had some Cuban coffee before. Some of it is too dark, and it depends on how they roast it. But that's just coffee.
See, but I love dark coffee.
You and Ellie can agree with you.
Strongest it comes.
Mm-hmm. So as we go deeper down the rabbit hole of this, just tell me one random interesting fact about yourself.
I would say this sounds like super jerky, kind of, but I am pretty good at guitar. Like, to the point that you can basically ask me to play any song that you want on guitar, and I'll be able to play it within 5 minutes of you asking me to play it.
Okay.
But it's because I love playing. So, like, if I have 5 minutes, I'm going to go play guitar. I'm not going to go turn on the Xbox.
So how many
I might turn on the Xbox, but what?
How many instruments can you play?
A lot. I taught myself saxophone. I've taught myself kind of a little bit of trumpet. Obviously guitar. I can play stand-up bass. I can play viola. I can play violin. I can play electric bass, which is basically the same thing, stand-up. I can play ukulele. I can play the mandolin. I can play like all sorts of stuff. Slide guitar, steel guitar. Yeah.
Bad question, because this could just go on forever.
Yeah.
Could go on forever. So let's transition from that question to now. Obviously, right now, we're all in quarantine. You are hanging out at your house. You're in your bedroom right now. So
Yep.
If you could quarantine with one other person that's not your family, who would it be? So celebrities are okay. Who would it be, and where would you want to quarantine, potentially?
Okay, well, so you could go like 2 routes, or really 3 routes to this, right? So you could go the route of like, okay, I want to be quarantined in Gold's Gym with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
With old man
Right,
Schwarzenegger,
because
who also happens to have a pet donkey in his house right now.
Well, right, but Arnold Schwarzenegger has, and he could get, after like 3 days of just bugging the crap out of him, be like, listen, you're not going anywhere. And knowing what we know now, you got at least 2 months of me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could go that route, or you could go the route of like, okay, I want to go quarantine myself in Paul McCartney's house, and have him teach me how to write, like a 157 chord progression and then write lyrics on top of it to make it. That just got like kind of music theory-ish,
You
but
went super music nerd on us, which is okay.
yeah, but so you could go that route, or you could go the route of like my best friend, because he and I would get into so much trouble. Like by the end of the 2 months, the house would be burned down, like totally on the ground in rubble.
Yeah. So now you're camping in the woods outside the house.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. My answer was Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Okay.
Because if his social media profile is a fraction of the reality of his life, he would just be the best person to hang out with for 2 months.
Yeah.
And I'll stay at any of his Hawaiian houses that he has. Because
True.
why not?
No, you got to go to Samoa with him though, or you could do like Kevin Hart. I feel like Kevin Hart would be hilarious.
I don't know. I feel like a comedian could be really good, or when they're not in the public persona, they could be really boring because that's their job.
No, but I've heard from people that have hung out with Kevin Hart that he's like always like he is.
That could still be him put it on the public persona.
Okay, fair. But if he's like that with one person, then you would think he'd probably be like that with you.
Yeah,
But
because
I
that
don't know.
whole issue is, like, I was thinking even Jim Gaffigan could be really fun. But
Yeah.
like with certain comedians, when they're off, they're off.
Or some comedians are funny for like 15 minutes and you're like, okay, shut up.
Yeah, because they're working new material, and so it's just not the same thing when they're working
Right.
material.
Like I'm about to offend half the Instagram internet, but Jim Carrey, it's funny for like 15 minutes, and then I'm like, okay,
Well, but you also got to probably look at Jim Carrey 25 years ago versus Jim Carrey now, because Jim Carrey now is like a character of himself, which is usually what happens.
Yeah.
In comedy is you become the caricature of your stereotype.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's fair.
With that, in this quarantine season, what is your routine? How are you keeping sane? What are you doing with your time to fill up all the waking hours at home with your family, with your siblings, with your parents? How are you filling your time? What's your routine?
So it actually depends on the day. So Tuesday, Thursday, I have a Zoom call with my lovely French teacher at 9 in the morning, except for I never do the work before the day of. So I get up at like 7 and do the work and then have the Zoom call at 9, which is fine. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll get up at 8 or so. And, go have a cup of coffee, sit out on the porch, or, sit in the front room type of thing with the piano and wake up the entire house and get yelled at probably. And then after that, they're basically both the same. I literally put the pro in procrastination. So I go all day long being completely unproductive in school's view of things. I don't touch my schoolwork. A lot of the time I'll go for a run or I'll go for a bike ride because like I said, so I'm going to be in the Corps of Cadets at UNG, and they have a minimum fitness requirement that you have to meet. So it's a lot of that stuff. So like I'll go on, 5-mile run, and the next day, like 2 days ago, I went on a 10.5-mile hike with a 50-pound backpack, and it's hurt. But so that eats my time, and then I play a lot of guitar during the day. And then normally after dinner, I tell myself that I'm going to do my homework, but I don't. And then we watch a movie, and then it's 10 o'clock, and then that's when I decide that would be a wonderful time to start my 2 hours worth of work for the day. And then, midnight, 12:30, 1 o'clock rolls around, and I go to sleep and wake up the next day and do it all over again.
Okay, so here's the question now, and this is the real question that I'm sure everybody wants to know because somehow this craziness has taken the world by storm.
Yeah.
And I do not endorse this, what I'm about to say. Have you watched Tiger King yet?
No,
Okay,
I've
good.
not.
Good.
I have I have this weird thing that whenever everyone's freaking out about a show, I refuse to watch it. Or like if a movie is like, oh my gosh, it's like the biggest thing. You have to go. I'm like immediately, and I don't know if it's just because I'm stubborn or like want to intentionally make people mad at me, but I just refuse to watch it.
I just
So
can't. It's too crazy. It's too crazy for.
I saw a commercial for it, and I thought it was gonna ruin my childhood.
I feel like social media has told me everything I need to know about Tiger King. I
Right,
don't need to watch
right.
Tiger King at this point.
And then there was a rumor circling around CNN or something that some reporter leaked that Donald Trump was going to try to pardon him, and
Oh
which wasn't true as far as I know. But I just thought I read that article. I was like, holy, this has gotten out of hand.
Hey, this is the season for fake rumors and all kinds of stuff because nobody
Oh
has anything
Lord.
better to do with their time. So what is your
When you get this
favorite?
bored, you get real creative.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing you've watched on quarantine so far?
We've watched quite a few movies. It's been like seriously a movie a night for like almost 2 months now. And so we've watched there's a movie called The Lincoln Lawyer that has Matthew McConaughey in it. That's really good. We watched I think the best one that we've seen is this movie it's called 21, and it's about this dude who's at MIT, and he basically has to figure out a way. He's really stupid. He got into like Harvard med school and everything. He's going to MIT. Real dumb dude. And so he's trying to figure out a way to pay for med school. And so he's working 20 something hours a week on top of his normal school workload. And then his advanced math teacher or whatever it is, invites him on this secretive team that they go to Vegas every weekend and play blackjack, and they count cards. And I won't spoil it, but it's really good. He ends up making like 50 grand a weekend, like every weekend for 17 weeks. Like crazy money.
And once again, we don't endorse these. We do not endorse these.
No. I don't endorse going to Vegas and counting cards, because now they have the rule that they'll just shoot you. So
yeah, once again,
if you're gonna count cards, go to Atlantic City.
Yeah, we don't endorse these behaviors. Are you reading anything fun right now in this season?
Reading?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so for AP Lit, we're reading Heart of Darkness, which is probably the most dense book I've ever read ever. It's 70 pages, and it's taken me like 4 days now. It like crazy. But so I'm reading that for school, and then after that, I'm looking into reading a Pat Conroy book, or there's a book called A Gentleman in Moscow that I'd like to read. But yeah, so Heart of Darkness right now, and then after that, I got a few ideas.
Okay. So in this season of quarantine, so far, even though life is so different, what has been your favorite part of quarantine?
I think that the forced slowdown is probably the best thing that's happened, not only to me, but to like basically everyone I know. And like, it sucks that you can't see anyone but your parents and your siblings and your dog or your cat or your fish. I'm trying not to leave anyone out. Right. But I think that the forced slowdown and not having to go straight from school to a leadership thing, to doing homework, to going to bed, back to school, back to, now you have soccer on that night, and then you have scouts or whatever it is. I think that being forced to stay home and entertain yourself and figure out how you work, and really getting back into who you are as a person and what you really enjoy to do, not what you do because a college would like to see it on your resume, or because you want to make these grades and this and that and the other. I mean, still study. I don't, but still study. And like do all those things. And if you genuinely enjoy doing that stuff, and good on you, but I feel like in today's world, it's a lot of think about what someone else wants to see in me rather than what I want to be.
Yeah, let's pause
And
right
this
there.
is kind of
Let's pause right there. We're at the 15-minute mark almost. So we're going to pause right there. We're going to pick this up in part 2 at a later time. And so thanks for joining in for part 1, and we'll be back for part 2 sometime in the future, guys.